everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm covering one of the most requested topic, a complete TypeScript crash course. Now for those who don't know, TypeScript is an open source programming language created by Microsoft. It's basically a superset of JavaScript, which means any code you write in JavaScript will also work in TypeScript. But here's the real power. TypeScript lets you add static type definitions to your code. That means it adds types to your code. For example, in JS, we don't set any types to a variable. It can be anything. Like a variable can be any string or any number. It can be any type. But whereas in TypeScript, for a variable, you can set a value. Like it can be either a string or a number. You can set that type. So like that, TypeScript helps catch the mistakes while you're still writing the code. So like that, it makes your code safer and easier to understand. Now it's important to note that when you're compiling your TypeScript code, it actually becomes a plain JavaScript code. Why? Because the browser and Node.js can only understand the JavaScript. Whereas the TypeScript compiler, that is called the TSC compiler, it simply takes your .ts files and convert them into .js file. That means the TSC compiler converts the TypeScript files into a JavaScript files. So they can run anywhere, wherever the JavaScript is running. Now what's the real benefit of TypeScript here? The real benefit is for the developers, not for the end users. With TypeScript, developers reduce making mistakes, they can improve maintainability, they can build more reliable applications with the help of TypeScript. But whereas with JavaScript, it also works fine. You can build any app with it, but the issue is JavaScript won't alert you any error until you actually runs the code. But by then, the bug may already be causing problems. Whereas on the other hand, TypeScript will catch many of those errors and early they will try to intimate you. And that's why TypeScript is more helpful for developers for writing more reliable and maintainable code. And that's why if you are about to become a web developer in today's competitive market, learning TypeScript is a must. So it's one of the most widely used technology and a core skill for modern development. So in this video, I'll be teaching TypeScript as if I were learning it again from the scratch. So I'll break down the concepts in order to make the most sense for the beginners. So let's dive into TypeScript. Let's move into the practical part. The first thing we need to do is install TypeScript. I'm using VS Code here, and this is where we'll be writing and running our code. If you have run JavaScript before, you know there are two ways to do it. Run it in the browser with a HTML file, or run it directly in a terminal using Node.js. For simplicity, I'll be using terminal and Node.js. I'll start by creating a file. I'll create a file. The name is demo.ts. Notice how I'm using the extension. I'm using .ts as extension. So this tells us the file is a TypeScript file. Now here the important part is, while JavaScript is available on every computer, TypeScript needs to be installed separately. So to install it, we use a package manager like npm. So for installing the TypeScript, we need to run a command. So let's open a terminal. I open a new terminal. Yes. Now we need to run a command, that is npm install -g TypeScript. Actually, it installs the TypeScript globally on your system. For me, it's throwing an error because I already has it. So to check it, we need to use a command tsc -v. So it gives us the version of the TypeScript file. So now, after running this, we need to run one more command, that is tsc -init. After running the command, as you can see in the left-hand side, a new file, tsconfig.json file, got created. So what is this file? So this file is basically a configuration file for TypeScript. So what it has is like, it tells the TypeScript compiler how to handle your code. So for example, what files to include or ignore, what version of JavaScript to output, whether you want strict type checking or not. These all things where we can mention in this tsconfig.json file. If you scroll down, there is a property called strict true. So this property actually let us do the strict typing. Whether we want it or not, we can set it by making it true or false. So actually, it forces the TypeScript to check everything carefully, and because of that, it helps prevent making mistakes. So if you set it false, you can still use the TypeScript, but it won't force you to add the type definitions everywhere, which is kind of defeating the purpose of using the TypeScript in the first place. So that's why I recommend you to make it true and save the file. Now, let's go to the coding part, open the TS file. Now let's start writing. So first of all, in JavaScript, we'll write something like let age equal to 25. So if you do a console.log, age, and if you do output, first of all, we need to build the code. For building the TypeScript file, we need to use the compiler, that is tsc, the command. After entering it, as you can see in the left-hand side, few files got created. The thing is, the tsc compiler has converted this TypeScript file into the JS file. Now we need to run this JS file. For doing so, we need to use the command node demo.js. So as you can see, the output is 25. If you can see, we hover on the age type is set to number automatically by JavaScript. Whereas when we are writing the TypeScript, we need to set it explicitly. So when we are writing TypeScript, the variable type needs to be set explicitly. So let me do it. I'll do a colon and set it as a number. So here, if we build it, tsc and demo.js, yeah, the output is still 25. Let's say if I made it as a string. As you can see, immediately there is an error. The string is not assignable to the type number. So that means it will strictly check the type. So we have given the variable type as a number. So the TypeScript, it won't allow we assign a string value to a number. Similarly, we check it for other variables as well. Let me take a string. Let me make it a number again. So now let me take a string. I will take it as a username, and I will give it as a string. I will use as a TypeScript. Now if you console.log, I save it, I build it with the tsc and run the file. So yeah, as you can see, we have printed this string. Now I'll try to pass a number here, 21. See, it has thrown an error. The type number is not assignable to the type string. So it is very strict. We need to pass only strings here. Like this, we will see some boolean value, something like if I use a boolean value like is logged boolean, I can only set a true or false here, either true or false. Apart from this, if I give any value like a string or a number, it will throw an error. Like the type string is not assignable to the type boolean. So like this. Now let's move to arrays. Let's say I have an array, like let's scores. This array is having a scores actually. So I'll give a scores like 90, 100, and 110, something like this. So now now this type of declaration and assigning is related to Java. So Java automatically, it declares its value as a number array. But we are in TypeScript, so we need to explicitly call out the type. So here we need to give a colon and we need to mention it's a array and also it's an array of numbers. So number array like this. So let's say if we try to add um, a, a value, let's start push. If I try to add a string here, something like this. See, it automatically has thrown an error. Argument of type string is not assignable to parameter of type number. So we need to only push the numbers. It only allows the numbers. See, it allows the numbers. So if we do a console.log of scores, and if we do a TLC, we compile this and run the file, see, we are able to produce the array. So like this, it is the TypeScript is a very helpful. It prevents us making these silly mistakes. So that's the case. In TypeScript, there is a special type that is called as any. Let's see how we use any. So let's say I have a variable. I'll take it as a data. So if I use, so let me assign a normal value. I'll assign a number. So yeah, let me print it data. So actually, I'll give the type of data as number. So if I build it, if I use a TSC, and if I use a node demo.js, as you can see, it's a number. So now I cannot give this data variable any string. See, I cannot assign any string value to this data because its type is number. So only I need to assign only number value. So here is the thing. If I use any type here, as it was a number earlier, so I can give any value to the particular variable. So for the data, I can give it as a string. I can assign a string here. Even I can assign a boolean value here. See, let me print with string. If I use TSC, if I use node demo, see, it is string. Even I can give a boolean value here. False. It is build and run it. See, the data can be anything. The data variable can be anything because we have given the type as any. Even we can make it as an array also. Array of numbers. Run it. See, even we can make it as a array of mix. Can be numbers and strings. So this is the main thing. Here, literally the data variable, it can be anything. It can be a number, or it can be a string, it can be a boolean, or even it can be an array. But remember, using any, it will takes away the safety that TypeScript is giving us. So it's only useful in special cases like where you don't know the type yet. So there may be cases like where you don't know the type of the variable, whatever which is coming. Like we might be getting it from any external API, we might be getting it from any other DB, or we might be pulling the data. So in that cases, we might not know the type of it, type of the particular data or particular variable. In that cases, we can use any. But it literally takes away the safety of the TypeScript. So that's the main thing. So this is all about any type. Now let's move to arrays. If I want an array of numbers in JavaScript, I can run something like this. So I'll write a variable that is, I'll take it as a scores and I'll add the values to it. So I'll add some numbers, 90, 110, some random numbers, 60. Now, yeah, let's run it. Let's print it console.log. So for that, we'll use console.log for printing this. So let me build it. We need to use the command tsc for building. It's tsc and then run the file node demo.js. Now as you can see, we got the values here. So here we can actually, there is no typing here. We have randomly taken a variable that is scores and we have given a array like numbers, that's it. So JavaScript has explicitly considered this variable or this array as a number, as the type number. But whereas when you are writing the same thing in TypeScript, you need to explicitly mention what type of a array it is. So now here after scores, we need to mention like this. We need to give a colon and we need to give number and array symbol. Yeah, like this you have to give a type to a particular array. So here this particular type has made my array as a numbers related array. So let's say if I want to add any string to it. So let me try to add a string to it. Then see. As you can see, immediately when I'm typing, I have seen an error. That is something like argument of type string is not assignable to parameter of type number. So that means we are trying to push a string to a numbers. So that type is not acceptable by TypeScript. So when we are writing itself, TypeScript has warned us, alerted us not to push this, and it's not allowing actually. So like this, so we need to identify. So yeah, this is not related to this particular type. So we need to pass only numbers here. So let me try to pass a number here. I'll pass a number 11. So yeah, as you can see, it allowed. Let me build and print it. So tsc build. Now use demo.js. Yeah. Now see, the number value has successfully pushed into an array. So it allowed because it is of type numbers. So similarly, if I want to pass a array of strings, so I'll take something like that. I'll take the variable name as fruits. Then I need to explicitly mention. So I'm mentioning it as string. And yeah. So I'll add fruit names. So yeah, let me try to print this. Yeah, build this tsc and see. Yeah, as you can see, we are able to see the string array as well. Now let's try to add a value like a push. Now let me try to add a number here. See, immediately when I'm typing itself, it has thrown an error like showing argument of type numbers is not assignable to parameter of type string. So that means we are trying to push a number value into a group of strings, so which is not allowed. So that's the case. So we are only need to pass a string here. So yeah, so I'm passing a string. So now see, now let me build it. Let me run the file. As you can see, the demo value has also inserted inside the array of strings. So this is how we pass the array of strings. Now we do have one more type also, that is any. So let's say, I'll show it with an existing example. Let's say for the fruits, if I have given a type as any, then in that case, even if I try to push a number also, see, it's not throwing any other. So let me build this. We'll use tsc and use node demo.js. As you can see, if you can observe the output, See, we have added a number into a collection of strings. So this type any means we can add any type of value. It can be a string, or it can be a number, or it can be a boolean value. We can add any type. That is the main that is the main use of this type any. So yeah, this is all about the arrays. Alright guys, now let's learn how to use TypeScript in functions with a simple example. Let me write a function. I'll take a function as a add. So I'll take two parameters for it. I'll use a and b, and I'll use a return. So I'm doing addition here. So here, once we write, we can see a error that is something like parameter a implicitly has a any type, and parameter b implicitly has a any type. So that means, so it has been considered implicitly as any. We have not provided any type, right? So so TypeScript has considered it as a any. The type of these two parameters are any. So now let's try to call this function. So I'll call it with numbers. I use 1 and 2, and I'll call it with the string as well. Hello TypeScript. So let me console.log it. I'll do a console.log here as well. So let's compile this. Use TSC. So yeah, it has warned us. It has warned us that parameter A is implicitly has a type any, and parameter B implicitly has an any type any. So that means we have identified these two errors when we are compiling itself. But that is fine. If we run it, it is just a kind of a warning for us. So when we run it, so we'll get the output. So we got 3 and hello TS. So now let's try to implement the typing for the variables here. So for the parameters here. So let me give a parameter as a string, and let me give a b parameter as a string. So now if I can see here, so this first console.log that is using the numbers, it has given me error. So that is an argument of type number is not assignable to parameter of type strings. So that is numbers were not allowed. So this condition is, this kind of calling is not allowed. So I'll comment this. So now see, we don't have any error here. So now let's compile this. So we don't see any errors here. If we run it, yeah, we got the output. We got the output with the strings. So as these two parameters a and b are strings, we have passed these two parameters or as a strings. Now let's say I'll change it to numbers. Number and number. So in this case, see, as you hover on the error, so it is not allowing strings because we have given here as numbers. These two parameters should be numbers. So in this case, this is not valid, this kind of statement. So we need this above statement is valid because we are passing numbers here. So if we build it and if we run it, yeah, now we got the output. Like this, we can set types to the parameters also. Let's say if you want to set the type for the return type also. So whatever the value you are returning, for that also if you want to set some type, that is also possible. You can set it like this. You can set it as a number by giving colon here, and if you give a number here, now the return type only allows numbers here. So we need to only return numbers here. Let me try to give a string here. Hello. See, it's not allowing. So type string is not assignable to the number. So if I give string here, it will allow. So let's compile it and let's build it. See hello. As we are returning hello. So yeah, this is how we can set typing to parameters as well as return types also. This is how we can use strict typing in the functions. So yeah, that's it. As of now, we have learned TypeScript basics, right? Now let's see how do we use interfaces? So in interfaces, before knowing that, let's see how we will write an object in JavaScript. So generally, I would like to take an object. So I make an object that is user. So I will give a const as a variable, and I can give its fields. So let me take a few fields. I will take a field name ID and I will assign a number to it. So let me assign 1, and I'll take a field that is name and I'll assign a string. So something like this. I'll give a TypeScript name, and I will take one more field. I would like to take age. So it should be of number. So I will take number. So now this is how we create an object in JavaScript. So now let's say if I accidentally assign a user dot ID a string. So I will give a string here. As you can see, immediately TypeScript won't allow it. It will show a red line saying that type string is not assignable to type number. So that is, string is not assignable to number. That is because TypeScript has guessed the type of the ID as string. So as you can hover on it, if you hover on the user object, it has considered the type of the ID as a number. So that's why when we are assigning a string to it, so it is giving us an error. We should not let it guess. So we should tell clearly what is the type of the field. So that's where the interfaces come into the picture. So interfaces are nothing but they are like blueprints that tell how an object should look. So this particular object, how it should look, how the fields inside it should look, like what are the types of the fields inside the object that we should decide it. So to make it, these interfaces are very helpful. These are kind of a blueprints, and they will tell how an object should look, how the fields inside the object should look. So now we see how to create the interface. So first of all, for creating the interface, we need to use a keyword that is interface, and I will take name as user interface. I will take this name, and we need to set the fields. So I will take ID, and for this field, instead of giving the value to it, we should set the type of the field. So I want the ID field to be number, so I will set the type of ID as a number. Like this, we need to set the type for the other field, that is a name. So I want the name field to be string always, so I will do it as a string. And for age definitely should be a number, so I'll take it as number. Yeah, that's it. But here we have not set it to the object. So to set this interface to the object, should take the interface name and use a colon, and yeah, give the interface name. Now, as you can see, now fields, what are the fields and the fields inside the user object, the types of the fields is taken from the user interface. So that's the case from the user interface. So let's say, just for example, let me make the ID as a string for now. So if I make it, immediately you can see a red line here. It is stating that the number is not assignable to the type string. So that is the case. So it won't allow. It is taking the type of the fields from the interface. So inside the interface, whatever the field type, the ID field type is string. So we should declare that only. Here we should not declare it as number. So I'm making it as a string. See, now the error is gone. So now I have for the user object, this is fine. Let's say I do have one more object, that is user2. So for my user2, let's assume like user2 doesn't have age field. I'll remove the age field. As you can see, immediately there is a red line that is stating that age is missing in the type. So age is missing. That is required. So what is the thing is, whenever you have a mapped interface to an object, so what are all the fields that are present in the interface, those should be declared in the object as well. Those fields were made as mandatory. So just like if you want to make the particular field like age to become it as optional, then there is a way. So to make it as optional, we need to just make a question mark, give a question mark here, put a question mark here and save it. And yeah, as you can see, the error is gone. So let's try to print what it gives. So I want to print the age here, console.log, and I want to print the user2's age. We don't have a age field here, but I'm trying to print it. So yeah, let me build it. So let me save the file. Let me build it. And let me run the file. As you can see, it is undefined. So as we have not mentioned the age field in the user2 object, so it has been undefined. The value, the output is undefined. So it means no value assigned to it. So let's say I will print the user's age now. So I have already provided the user object age here. So let me build it and run it. See, it is giving 20. So that's the case. Whenever we want to make a particular field optional, then in that case, we need to provide question mark 2 after the particular field. So after the age field, we are given a question mark. So it is optional. So now let's see, how do we use functions here? So in this case, let's say, let me take a function. I want a function, something like wish. Okay. And I will do a console.log. So what shall I log here? Let me pass a parameter. I would like to pass a message. So this message, I will pass it here. So now, as you can see, it is throwing an error. So it is stating that it is not specified. It is an unknown property, which does not exist in the type user interface. So that we have not mentioned the wish function in the user interface. So that's why it is throwing an error. So for that, we need to mention the function also, wish function. So how to make it is, let's do it. Just write the function, and it is not giving any return type. So for that, we need to make it as a void. So as there is no return type, we need to make it as a void. And it has a message parameter. So just give it right over here. It's a parameter. And this parameter is of type string. So yeah, I have given it. So now see, the error is gone. So this is simple. If we are passing a parameter as a string, then just give a type of string. And as this function is not returning anything, just give void. And yeah, let's try to run it. User.wish. I would say hello, everyone. Yeah, let me save it and build it. Yeah, and run it. See, we have received it. So we have received the output. So this is how we mention functions inside the interface. So this is all about interfaces. Yeah. So now let's talk about something really simple but powerful in TypeScript. That is a keyword. The keyword is read only. So what does read only means? Read only is something, it's very simple. That means you can set it once, you cannot change it later. So let me show you an example. So let's say I do have an object. So object is user. So I do have fields like ID. So I'll give it as a number and a name. So I'll give it as a string. So name would be something like demo. Here, let's say if I want to change the name, I can use something like user.name and I will update it. Update it to something like demo1. So if I try to console log it and see user.name, so compile it and run it. As you can see, the name has updated. The value of the name field has updated. So now, so in some scenarios, like I don't want this value to get updated. I want this value only to be readable, not to be changeable. So in that cases, generally we can do something like first take a interface. I'll take a user interface and we can give the field names. I want the ID to be number and name field to be string. So now if I make this ID value as read only, if I use this keyword read only here to the ID, and if I save it, and if I assign this interface to my user object, I have given it to ID. So let me update the ID. So as you can see here, immediately after I have given it to ID, so it is not allowing. As you can see, cannot assign to ID because it is a read-only property only. That means we cannot modify it because it is only read-only. So if you try to change the ID, TypeScript will stop you right there. So yeah, that's the main use of it. It is super useful for things like account numbers, configuration settings, or constants that should never be updated. So when you are using read-only, remember you use read-only when you want to protect your data from accidental changes. So that's the case. It's simple, clean, and safe. Let's talk about unions and intersection types in TypeScript. These are the two super handy ways to combine the types. So let's talk about union. Union is nothing but a particular value can be either this or that. So it is very flexible. Let me show you the example. I'll take a function, get ID. So this function has a parameter. I'll take a parameter as a number. I'll take ID, that is of type number. And let me console log the value. So I will console log the ID. So here, let me print it console.log. Okay. Now let me call the function get ID. So so the type of the parameter is number. So I'm passing number here. I'll pass 21. So let's see. TSC and so yeah, the output is 21. Now, some of the cases like ID can be even a string. Like let's say the employee IDs. Sometimes the employee IDs can be entire numbers, or sometimes employee IDs can be even strings. So in that case, we don't know what is the value would be. It can be either a number or it can be either string. So in that cases, we use this concept called unions. So this particular ID can be a number or string. So how to do that? So we have set it to number. So to also set it as a string, we need to use this symbol, the union symbol, that is a pipe symbol. So pipe symbol and mention the type, the other type that you want. So now, so ID can be either a string or number. So as I have already called it with number, let me call it with string. So now if I give a string, it will take. So as you can see, there's no error. So let me build it and run it. So see, so ID, it has considered both the number and string. Let's say if I want to pass boolean value. See, it's not allowing because the ID parameter, it is only accepting either number or a string. So if you want the boolean value also to allow, then you can add another pipe symbol, another union symbol, and add the type also. So let me do it this way. Instead of mentioning here, I'll use a keyword that is type, and I'll write a name of the variable. So I will use ID type, and let me mention this here. So yeah. So instead of mentioning this directly, we can use the variable. So like this, we can reuse it. So here, now I want to accept the boolean also. So I will add one more pipe symbol and add a boolean. Yeah, and I want to add one more thing, that is a array, number array. So yeah, let's check now. So it's accepting. So now let me pass an array also. Array of numbers. Yeah, let me build and check. So yeah, see. So this is how we can use union. So this is all about union. So union is nothing but a value can be this or that. So here a value can be either a number or a string or a boolean or number array. So like this, let's see what is intersection. So intersection is nothing but value has to satisfy both this and that. Let me show you. So let's say here in this example, I'll add one more type. I will add a type as ID type. I'll give the first one as 1 and I'll give the second one as 2. And let me take another type, number or string. So in this scenario, when we are dealing with the primitive values, so the intersection actually behaves in a different way. I'll tell you. So let me take one more type, ID type 3. So let's say if I use ID type 1 and symbol. So the symbol for intersection is and ID type 2. So here the thing is we are intersecting type 1 and type 2. So we are giving the type 3 to the ID value. So yeah, now see, as you can see here, the one we call with the number, there is no problem here, there is no error. The one we call with string, there is no error here. There is an issue with boolean and array, number array. So the thing here is, so whenever we are like using the intersection in the primitive data types, thing is intersection will take the common types only. So in both the type 1 and type 2, the common types are number and string. So boolean and number, it is not available in ID type 2. So that's why, so these two are coming errors. So it is not accepting boolean and numbers. So we have given intersection. Intersection means the common types only, the common types in both. Those are only considered. So let me add a boolean in the second type also and see. Boolean. As you can see the error is gone here. So it is giving error only for the numbers array. So intersection means both, in both types, the type should be available. So here in type 1, number, string, boolean are available. In ID type 2, number, string and boolean are available. This is how we deal with the primitive data types. Whereas if we give OR here, the union, it will accept everything. It will accept each and every type. Only this is for intersection. Now, let's see how do we deal this with the objects. So let's say I do have an interface. I have interface user. So user has a field ID, that is a number, and a string, and I will take a name that is of type string. Okay, and I'll take another interface, that is interface. I'll take it as something like company. So here I will take CID as a number and CNAME string. So now let me take a type. I will take a type for employee type. I will take an employee type. So this is nothing but we are setting the type. So here I will use user or company. So that means I'm using union here. I want either this or that, either user or company. So when I am creating an object, so const employee, I will take an object from emp type. So when I am creating an object, let's say I will take ID as 21 and I will take name as something with demo. It's a string. So now there is no issue because I have considered the fields from the user, ID and name, or from the user. Let's say I can take CID and CNAME. So now I am considering from company. So from company interface. So union means nothing but we have to consider the values of fields from either one of these two interfaces, from either user interface or either company interface. It's not like we can take ID from user and CNAME from company. It won't allow like that. So both values, both fields should be from one interface. So that's the case. So now here, if I give CID, it works. So this is for union. So let's say now if I give AND here, that's the intersection. So what happens is like AND is nothing but we have to use all the fields. So from user we have ID and name, and from company we have CID and CNAME. So intersection means this and that, both user and company. So we have to use all four fields. So CID I have given, CNAME I have given. So I'm missing ID and name. So that's why it is giving me an error. So let me give ID something like 22. I'll give a number, and name something like I'll give just some random name, demo2. So now as you can see, there is no error. So this is how union and intersection works in the objects. So union means either this or that. So either user related fields or company related fields. Intersection means this and that. So that means both ID name and CID CNAME. These should be there when you are creating the object. So this is all about unions and intersections. Let's talk about generics. So generics are a way to write reusable, flexible, and type-safe code in TypeScript. They actually allow us to create functions, classes, and interfaces that can work, but like they can work with any type, but they can still maintain type safety. So let me show you an example. So I do have a function. So I will take as identify string. Okay. So here I will take value as a parameter. So I will use a string as a type, and so this is a function. So I'm returning value. So here I want the return type also as string. So now, so if I want the same function to return a different data type, let's say number, so I need to create a same function with number, something like this. Number. So instead of that, here I have to give number, and return type also I have to give number. So like this, if I want to give it for a boolean value, I have to replace the with boolean, like the number with boolean and the return type also with boolean. But here the thing is, let's say if we use generics, we can write only single function. Instead of writing these multiple functions, generic allows us to write one function that works with any type. That is, let's say I'll show you. I'll write a function and something like identity, and instead of like, let me write it out. Now I'll take a val and I'll return a val. So here I will mention, instead of mentioning any type like string or number, I will mention it as a t and return type as t. So before that, I need to give a generic type parameter. So the syntax is like this. So generic type parameter. So what is this? This is all about generic type. So what does this mean? So this generic type parameter, it represents any type that will pass to the function later. So that is nothing but whatever we pass it. So it will be considered as a parameter, and it will pass it as a parameter, and even the return type also, so whatever the locked value here, that will be considered here. So let's say if I pass a string, so this generic type parameter will consider the parameter as a string, and even the return type also string. Let's say if I pass a boolean value, this generic type parameter will log the boolean value, will take the parameter as a boolean value, even the return type also it will give us a boolean value. So this is how generic type will allow us to write multiple functions. Instead of writing this multiple function, it will allow us to write only one function, and with this, we can work with any type. Like I can call console.log. I can call identity t, and I will pass a name like hi. See, if I build it and run it, the hi is coming. Let's say if I use the same function, I can use same function for even numbers. 1, 2, 3. Even I can use same function for boolean value. Even I can use same function for arrays. Build it and run it. See, that's it. So instead of writing all these multiple methods, we can simply write a generic method, and yeah, this will work for all types. So this is all about generics. Now let's talk about enums. Enum in TypeScript are a way to create a group of named constant values. So let's say if you want to group a set of constant values, so in that cases we go with the enums. So basically enums make your code way more clearer, easier, and maintainable, and less error prone. So instead of using the same names in different areas, we can set those values to a constant in a enum, and we can simply reuse them. So let me show you. To write a enum, first of all, we need to use a keyword enum, and then we need to get the name. What is auto status? I will use a pending, shipped, and delivered. So I'd like to take these three. So generally, basically, enums, the values will be assigned default. So like let's say if you give an enum like this, pending, the enum pending, it will get assigned to a value that is 0. And like this, for the next item, the value will be assigned as a 1. And for the next item, value will be assigned as a 2. So let me show you how it is. So let's say if I want to print it, console.log, and if I want to see the value of a pending or the status dot pending, then see, ASC and model test. As you can see, so the default value set for pending is 0. Like this, the next item will get 1 and the next constant value that will get 2. So let's say if I set any random number to the first item, so I'll set it as 5. So then what happens is like, see the other items will get the next value. So shipped will get the value as 6 and delivered will get the value as 7. So let me show you. We'll compile it and see it is 5. So let's say if I use delivered, it's 7. So like this, the values get assigned, the default values. Generally, we use it more for constants. So something like this, I'll show you one example how we use it, like shipping, and I'll give this as a deliver. So yeah. Now let me take a function. I'll write a function get order status. So here I'll take a status parameter. So I'll set it to order status, and I will keep some checks inside this. Like I'll check a if condition. If the status is equal to order status dot deliver, then I will log console.log order is delivered. So simply like this, I'll copy paste this. I'll save and shipped delivered. No, pending. So now if I call this get order status, and inside that I want a parameter for this order status dot pending. Now if I compile it and run it, so yeah, now you can see all this delivered. So here the main thing is we are reusing this constant value across different places. See, pending, it has been reused here in the else if condition, as well as when we are calling, it has been reused. So that is the main purpose of enum. So enum helps make our code more easier, more reusable and more maintainable. So that is all about enums.